Excellent. So my name's Amanda Schill, and I think I've met most of you, but for those I haven't, this is my second year at the helm, and I will have to say I'm very proud of the progress that we've made as an organisation over the last couple of years, but with that said, we absolutely still have a long way to go. So I'd like to open up by saying thanks to all of you for coming along today, and thank you for your support of the foundation over what has been a very big 2017. I like to think that our goal as a foundation is pretty simple. We want you and our community to live a longer and happier life. It's also, though, a monumental challenge, and it's one thing that we can't achieve on our own. So every day, the team and I, many of the team are here today as well, we're all grateful that you've chosen to put your trust in the Flinders Foundation and your trust in us to invest your donations to have the biggest impact on the lives of the community that surrounds us. The end of the year is a great time to stop and reflect on what we've been able to achieve together. So I'd like to share a few of those things with you today. So firstly, about research. Those of you who are regulars at our monthly research forums would have seen firsthand the depth and diversity of the research projects that we fund. In the past 12 months, you'd be pleased to know that we've provided almost $1 million in support of research projects across the Flinders campus and $550,000 of seed funding grants. Now, seed funding is something that I think is something that's unique to Flinders Foundation. Not many other charities across the state fund seed projects, but we think it's really important because it gives researchers a kickstart, sometimes to fund a project that otherwise might not have been funded, to seed an idea, to go and explore something that might be possible. And we really believe that providing that funding helps researchers to uncover the steps that they need to prove that their next breakthrough is possible. So often the seed funding that we provide, researchers will go on to secure multi-million-dollar grants because of the funding that we were able to offer, which helped them to establish the grounds of their projects. There's been a couple of big research breakthroughs this year at Flinders, and as we know, research is often long haul and can be hit and miss. So I'd like to tell you about a couple of those, and many of you will be well versed on this if you've been to our research forums. The first is in the area of motor neuron disease research, and we know that it's a debilitating disease for which there is currently no cure. In a world first, Dr. Mary Louise Rogers and her team discovered the first biomarker for motor neuron disease in urine, and she's currently being inundated from requests from all over the world from people trying to access this new data set, which enables them to track whether a drug is effective in treating a patient or not. Another really exciting breakthrough is in the area of prostate cancer research, and many of you met Dr. Catherine Morell a couple of months ago. She's discovered that a naturally occurring chemical found in daisies, possibly even in your garden, may be able to prevent metastatic prostate cancer. And she's about to go to Harvard to share her research with the world. So it's a fantastic year on the research front. Obviously, we would like to fund more research and as much research as possible because we know that research is what uncovers the answers to help us find better treatments, find cures, and help people to live a longer, happier life. Many of you know that we're also big supporters in terms of equipment across the Flinders campus, and unfortunately the list is so long, I think it would take many years to be able to fulfil the requirements, but what we try to do is work with the hospital to uncover where the greatest need is and what's going to have the biggest impact for our community. So I'd like to run through a few projects that we've been able to fund in terms of equipment. And the first one, Neville, would you like to stand up, please? I'd like to thank Neville, who has helped us tirelessly throughout his own treatment. He's advocated across the community and throughout the campus to help us raise $70,000 to purchase 2 new ultrasound probes. And Neville, we can't thank you enough, and we really appreciate the work you did this year, so join me in thanking Neville. So Neville told us that he wanted to make an impact for other people so that hopefully someone else wouldn't have to go through what Neville was going through. And Neville, you'll be pleased to know that that's exactly what you've achieved. The probes were purchased in July, and they've already been used to test more than 100 men and either diagnose or clear them from prostate cancer. At the end of October, the probes were moved to the Noarlunga Hospital, where the majority of biopsies are now performed in terms of prostate cancer, And the specialists there have told us how the images produced by these probes are far superior to the methods and equipment that they have previously had access to. So a great achievement, well done, and thank you, Neville. Thank you also to all of you in the room who supported that project. As you've just heard, or as you will hear, I think, the neurology service at Flinders will be receiving a new EEG machine, which has the latest software and video monitoring equipment. You can only imagine what it would be like to not be able to work or drive or live a normal life because you're experiencing uncontrollable seizures and the medication you're being offered can't fix it. This is a great example of just how life-changing technology can be. This equipment will help diagnose and treat more people with epilepsy, and hopefully they also will be able to live a longer and happier life. We've also funded various pieces of equipment across the wards in Flinders. We've funded an echocardio machine for the cardiology department, an MRI ventilator, and no less than 12 ECG machines for the intensive care unit. Collectively, that's another $299,000 worth of equipment that's been able to be purchased thanks to your support and that of our community, so thank you. Equipment doesn't always have to be the latest in technology or necessarily life-saving technology, but it can still be quite simple and have a significant impact on people's lives. We've recently received a donation to fund a blanket warmer for the Flinders infusion suite upstairs, which helps chemotherapy patients to counter the chills that they often experience when they're receiving treatment. Just last week, the head of infusion told our team about a patient who had just arrived for her very first chemotherapy treatment. She was incredibly nervous, anxious and tense, and so much so that the staff in the unit told her not to worry and that they gave her a lovely warm blanket. They said right away she settled and relaxed, and as I said, it's the little things like this that make all the difference. The funds for the warmer were donated by the family and friends of our ambassador Kerry Briggs, who sadly passed away last December after a 5-year battle with breast cancer. A great example of how friends and family can honour a loved one and give back to the service in which they were treated. So you must wonder how on earth the Foundation is able to fund hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of research and equipment across the campus. Well, we do that because of the generous support of people like yourselves, but we also do it because we work our backsides off all year fundraising. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of the activities that we've undertaken this year to make that happen. Many of you will have heard about, and hopefully some of you attended, the Pink Yellow Blue Ball, and this year was the 28th Pink Yellow Blue Ball, which was held in October. This amazing event is so well supported, and the funds we raise on the night will fund 10 more seed funding research projects in 2018, which is fantastic. We're very fortunate that we have a wonderful partnership with the SA Police, and you may have seen some advertising for the Lightsview Ride Like Crazy, which is a community cycling event. This year will be the 10th, or next year will be the 10th and final Ride Like Crazy. Around 1,200 riders come together across the community, and we're a beneficiary of the proceeds raised at that ride, which is fantastic. The funds we raise there support South Australia's only neurological tumour bank, which this ride actually helped to establish the tumour bank, and the tissue available in the tumour bank helps to support research in brain cancer and other brain-related disease, which is great. There are a number of other community events held across the community by organisations and by individuals. You may have heard of Dry July, which we're a very grateful beneficiary for, one of only 2 in South Australia, so we're very lucky for that. This year we had our 3rd and final Lightsview Cancer Prevention Home that was sold in the community out at Lightsview, so we received some proceeds from that. We're the charity partner of the Bay to Birdwood. Foodland ran a campaign for us in October in Cancer Awareness Month, so you may have seen the Flinders Foundation in your Foodland catalogues. The Drake's Supermarkets team have a charity show bag at showtime. Mr Riggs at McLaren Vale hold some different fundraising activities in support of the foundation with their wine. And there's a number of other fundraisers who participate in things like marathons, head shaves, morning teas, movie nights, Christmas lights, and other things like that. So there's many different ways that people can get involved, and if you're ever thinking about getting involved in one, please have a chat to the team, because we'd love to help you. I hope this provides a small snapshot of the significant and growing impact that the Foundation is able to have with your support here at Flinders. On behalf of the entire precinct, the researchers, the clinicians, the staff at the hospital, the patients and families, and our team, I'd like to thank you. So could you please all join me in thanking you. So whilst it's important to celebrate success, we know that that is short-lived because there's still so much more that we want to do. So while we pause, I'd like to tell you a little bit about what our plans look like for 2018. We're aiming to create a comfortable, welcoming and private environment for people and their families. This was part of the vision for the centre when it first opened, and the team and I are working really hard to bring this vision to life. We need to raise $600,000 to make this vision a reality, and we're focused and we think we can do it. Also in the Cancer Centre, the infusion suite at Flinders is going to be expanded from 12 chairs to 17 chairs in 2018, and that's a project that we're also going to support. At the moment, the infusion suite delivers about 8,000 infusions a year, and because I guess of the improvements in people's ability to survive, it means demand's growing, and we need to be able to deliver more infusion. Another major focus in 2018 for us is kids and families at Flinders. Over 3,600 babies were born at Flinders last year. That's only in the public hospital. And you may not realise that Flinders is the only place where mothers and babies can receive intensive care treatment at the same time in South Australia. Many of these babies will go on to receive treatment at Flinders throughout their life. Hospitals can be a scary place for children and for new mums, and equally traumatic, I guess, for the rest of the family. Hospital stays can be anything from a quick admission into the emergency department up to weeks or months at a time, depending on the illness or injury that the child may have. And so we'll be launching a campaign in early 2018 to better support kids and families on their journey through the health system at whichever stage that might be. There's a number of different projects that need our help, and so we're going to pull them together into one big community appeal, and we'd love if you're able to help support some of these, so I'll tell you a little bit about them now. We're going to help to redevelop the child protection service facilities at Flinders. So the service at Flinders is one of 2 in the state for abused and neglected children, and they're in desperate need of improved facilities to help improve the care for these children. We're also going to support a new project which is about to commence, which looks to identify children at risk of abuse or neglect before they're born. So research is telling the clinicians and researchers at Flinders that where they're able to intervene earlier, potentially in the antenatal stages, it means that they're able to identify children who may be at risk and help to educate and work with those parents throughout their pregnancy and in the early stages after the child's birth, which will hopefully prevent them from presenting to the Child Protection Service at 2, 3, 5 years of age, and obviously the significant issues that they deal with down the track. We're going to work with the hospital to improve the paediatric ward facilities. There's currently a 33-bed paediatric ward at Flinders, and there's a range of different requests we get from the staff and patients and families across that space, so we think that that's an important piece of the journey for helping patients through that space. The neonatal unit, which you'll hear about shortly when Sanjay arrives, they're undertaking a major project at the moment to increase from 35 to 50 cots in the neonatal unit. And you'll receive a letter from me in the coming fortnight asking if you're able to help us to purchase some new equipment for the neonatal unit, which is vital in helping to prevent brain damage in a number of babies that are born at Flinders every year. Also in the paediatric space, we're going to support the development of a new paediatric emergency department. So currently the paediatric space is not fit for purpose, and it doesn't provide all of the facilities that we think should be available, including a paediatric resuscitation area, which you've probably heard about through the Transforming Health and the announcements that the government are currently making. You'll be pleased to know that that piece of work is something we're really proud of, and that our lobbying to make that a reality has been successful. So it's something we're really proud of, and we're looking forward to working with Flinders next year to make that happen. Another big focus for us next year will be on trauma services. So we met Andrew this morning. You wouldn't probably know that the Flinders Emergency Department is actually the second busiest in Australia, behind, we understand, the Gold Coast. So not something that we hear about publicly a lot, but it certainly puts things in perspective when you think about the day-to-day pressures that the team are under upstairs there. So they have over 80,000 presentations every year. Patients are brought here by road and helicopter, and it's backed by one of the most renowned intensive care units across the country. They're literally saving lives every day, and we want to make sure they have the best technology so that more people can go on and live a happier, healthy, longer life. Many of you will have heard us also talk about the work we've been doing with the statewide eating disorder service. Now, this is a project that's been a very long time coming, and many of you have met John Mannion, who's up the back, who used to actually work at Flinders and has worked on the statewide eating disorder service for many years. Something that he's very passionate about, and he came across to help us to make this new service a reality. So there's some announcements coming in the next few weeks. I wish I could tell you all the details today, but you'll have to wait for all the juicy details. What I can tell you at the moment is that we've negotiated a land deal for the development of a $4 million facility, which will be the first of its kind in the country that houses clinicians and researchers together to make sure that the model that we're delivering for eating disorder patients and their families across the state is the best one that's available. So stay tuned for more on that. We look forward to sharing all the details once we're able to announce that. Something you've also heard us talk a lot about is a new focus on mental health. Now, this is something that the Foundation is very passionate about, and you'll hear a lot more in the coming years about the work that we're going to undertake in this space. I mentioned earlier about, if you think about 20 or 30 years ago, what did cancer look like in the community? And I'd like to think that the way that we've progressed and advanced as a country and as I guess across the world in how we treat cancer is something that we can aspire to do in the mental health space. So people at the moment are suffering, people are dying, and we don't know how to treat mental health in the way that we think is something that we can cure or potentially prevent. And so that's why the Foundation is going to be focusing on delivering some major initiatives in the mental health space, which will be announced in early 2018. There are some fantastic organisations out in the community that support people through issues, be it in mental health, or not just in terms of depression, anxiety, but there are other factors such as dementia, Alzheimer's, and eating disorders is another great example. So it's not just depression and anxiety that affects the community, but it's something that we think something needs to be done about, and so we're going to kickstart driving that change. So as always, we will continue to fund the world-leading research and the major seed funding rounds that we always do. And I hope that you're able to join us each month at our research forums to hear all about that work and meet some of our researchers. If you're not able to attend but you'd still like to hear about the work, please see someone in the team and we'll do our best to share that with you. And also, if you have any feedback about the sessions as you come throughout the year, please talk to us. We'd love your feedback and love to improve them. And if you're not able to attend but there's another time that you could, we're absolutely happy to explore those sorts of things, so please let us know. Once again, I'd like to thank you all so much for your continued support. We feel so lucky to have all of you on our team and know that you're backing us in the community. And I'd like to wish you all a happy and healthy Christmas and New Year. Thank you.